Good morning, everyone. Myself, Dr. P. Samuel, Assistant Professor of Biotechnology, Algal College, Sivagasi. Through this video tutorial, I'm going to share some important things about algal biotechnology, which is in the core paper called Marine Biotechnology. Let's move into the topic. The first thing is all about what is a marine algae, its types, and its role in biotechnology. Gentlemen, before we move on to the topic in detail, we should know what is an algae. Singular, it is called as alga, and plural, it can be called as algae. In general, algae is a photosynthetic eukaryotic organism. So it is very similar to plants, right? Like plants, algae are also able to derive their energy from sunlight, so they are called as photosynthetic, and they have a defined internal structures, so they are called as eukaryotic organisms. And they are present in freshwater as well as in marine ecosystem. Their distribution is common. It is in both freshwater as well as in marine ecosystem. Well, like plants, algae lacks structures like leaf, stem, fruits, right? We couldn't see any structures like leaf, stem and fruits in alga, but it has a definite structure called as thallus. And when going into detail about the classification system of algae, it is based on the pigments, photosynthetic pigments present in it. Algae adapts both sexual as well as asexual mode of reproduction, right? A typical algal cell contain all subcellular entities, which means all cellular organelles which are covered by a definite cell membrane and cell wall. That is why an algae is called as eukaryotic organism, right? So the picture I have mentioned here is the photographs taken from Kanyakumari coastal line, which is my minor research investigation area, which is rich in different types of algae. So when study about the algae in detail, we should know some basic things, right? It is a photosynthetic organism, which means they are similar to plants. So plants synthesize their energy from the sunlight. Similarly, algae is also able to synthesize their energy from the sunlight. The process of photosynthesis can be defined as conversion of radiant energy into chemical energy. A very important concept, conversion of radiant energy into chemical energy, right? Let's move into the second slide. What is marine alga? The study, so before we move on to the area called marine alga, the study of algae is known as algology or phycology. An important question may be asked in internal assessment, right? An algae, the study of algae can be called as an algology or phycology. Marine algae are otherwise called as seaweeds, right? They are called as seaweeds. So far, there are more than 3,000 species were recorded. 30,000 species were recorded. They are macroscopic in size and they can be seen with an unaided eye, right? See, for observing microscopic organism like bacteria, we need instruments like microscope. No such structures are required to visualize marine alga, right? They are macroscopic. See, some marine algae are capable of growing up to 60 to 150 feet long, right? It's a very distinct thing of marine algae. They can grow up to 60 to 150 feet long. Such type of algae are called as giant kelp. Giant kelp. So, as we discussed in the previous slide, algae do not contain structures like stem, root and fruits. Likewise, algae also do not contain elements like xylem, phloem and stomata. It belongs to the kingdom Protista, but they are not true plants. See, in the evolution, marine algae were the first recorded vegetables. An important feature. In the evolution, marine algae were the first recorded vegetables, and marine algae forms the base of the food chain in the marine ecosystem. They are the base of food chain. See, there are n number of organisms are present in marine ecosystem, right? Scientists says there are about 32 phyla are originated from the marine ecosystem. They lodge a huge diversity of living organisms, right? One who wants to pursue their research in microbiology or biotechnology, please choose marine ecosystem as the field of your investigation, because it is such a beautiful environment for studying different groups of organisms, right? Let's move on to the third slide. Structure of a seaweed, right? A typical seaweed, marine alga contain a prominent structure called a thallus, which is the entire body of seaweed, right? Lamina, which is a flattened structure that resembles a leaf, right? In plants we call it as leaf, whereas in alga the leaf-like structure is called as lamina. There is another structure called sorus. They are called as spore-bearing structures, sorus, within which they enclose sexual and asexual spores, which are required by the algae for its propagation. And most of the algae are floating in nature, right? This is due to the presence of air bladders, which makes the algae to float on the surface of water. So, as I told you, algae is a photosynthetic organism, and so that they cannot live in the dark area, which means in the pelagic zone, the deep ocean. They are living in a domain, they are living in a place called as photic zone, where sunlight can penetrate into the coastal water, sea water. The area is called as photic zone. This area is influenced by many marine algae. These marine algae can be acting as food for other organisms present in the same ecosystem. There is another structure called a stipe, which is a stem-like structure, and here an important thing to be noted: the stipe is not present in all seaweeds, right? Holdfast, a specialized structure on the base of seaweed which acts as an anchor, allowing it to attach to a surface. See, in the previous slide, in this slide you could see the green colored algae grown over the rocky substrate, and this growth require a strong adsorption. That adsorption or that anchoring property is mediated by the holdfast. This is to be noted. Holdfast, right? The last one is called Haptera. This is a finger-like extension of Holdfast anchoring to benthic substrate. Holdfast. Holdfast is the anchoring unit within which there is another structure called Haptera, which are finger-like extension of Holdfast anchoring to benthic substrate. Classification. The classification of seaweed is very simple, and the classification system is based upon the chief photosynthetic pigment present in the algae. See, in general, there are three photosynthetic pigments: brown color pigments, red color pigments, and green color pigments. If an algae containing brown color pigment, it is said to be brown algae, and it belongs to the kingdom Phaeophyta. If it contains red pigment, it is called as red algae and belongs to the family Rhodophyta. If it contains green pigment, it is called as green algae and belongs to the family Chlorophyta. So, classification of algae is very simple, and it is based upon the nature of photosynthetic pigments, right? What is brown algae? Here I have given some examples like Ectocorpus, Punctaria, Holothrix, Hormosyra, Telopteris, Dictyota, Padina, Cutelaria. These are all some examples of brown algae, may be asked in section A question. So, very careful about it, memorize all the names. Let's see in detail what are brown algae. Brown algae, they belongs to the phylum Phaeophyta, which means dusky plants. They belongs to the family Phaeophyta, which means dusky plants, and it is one of the most prevalent type of seaweed. Prevalent type means most common type of seaweed is brown algae, and its color is ranging from brown or yellow brown in color. They are present in both temperate waters as well as in Arctic climates. They contain root-like structures, but in true sense they are not roots. They are called as holdfast. So we have discussed the function of holdfast in the previous slide. They are absorbing units, which helps the algae to adsorb to a surface for its growth. There are about 30 kelp varieties in brown alga. One of them forms the giant kelp near the California forest, while another makes up the floating kelp beds in the Sargasso Sea in the North Atlantic Ocean. See its adaptive features. It is present in temperate water as well as Arctic climates. This reveals the beauty of adaptation, right? Living organism need to adapt according to the environment for its survival. That adaptability can be easily understood from the algal species. They can able to grow in both environments, in both temperate condition as well as in Arctic climates. Right. Why brown alga are important? Why brown alga are important, right? See the list of nutrient profiles. It contains vitamin K, vitamin A, vitamin C, folate, vitamin E, B12, and many other minerals. See all the minerals in one algae. This is nutrient, its nutrient composition is diversified, right? It has a huge profile of nutrients which makes them to be attracted by many people for consumption all over the globe. Even we Indians do not prefer algae as our food, but in countries like China, Europe, America, where algae is their predominant food for their breakfast because of its nutrient profile. They also contain sodium, phosphorus, zinc, copper, manganese, as well as selenium. See, a huge profile of nutrients is in algae. If we practice to have algae as our food, it is a very good protein supplement. We will be escaped from a protein deficient disease called kwashiorkor, right? Next slide. Red algae, as I told you, it is called as rhodophyta. It contains a pigment called rhodophycin. There are there are about 6,000 species were recorded so far. Red algae gain their brilliant color due to the pigment called phycoerythrin. As I told you, the word phyco refers to algae, erythrin refers to red color. The ability to absorb blue light allows the red algae to live at greater depths. What makes the red algae to grow in the depth of the ocean? It has the capability to absorb blue light. And a subgroup of red algae called coralline algae, an important formation of coral reefs. They are supplemented as food additives, and some are oftenly followed in parts of Asian cuisine. Examples of red algae: Irish moss, coralline, and dulse, Palmaria palmata. So this and a pictorial representation of red algae. The next one is green alga. It belongs to the phylum called Chlorophyta. There are about 4,000 species are recorded so far. Green algae can be found in both freshwater as well as marine water ecosystem. There are three forms exist in green alga. One is unicellular, second one is colonial form, third one is multicellular forms. Sea lettuce, commonly called as Ulva lactuca. It is common along the Kanyakumari coastal lines, which is also rich in nutrients. Another algae called Codium, a green alga variety, is favored food of some sea slugs, while species Codium fragile is commonly referred to as dead man's finger. Right? The benefits. Algae can be used as biosorbent agents, right? So in the previous slides we were discussed about its nutritional profile, their mineral profile, everything. So apart from this, they are also used as biosorbing agents, which means they are used to remove heavy metals from the environment. They are rich source of metabolites. Since an organism living in coastal ecosystem is subjected to heavy pressure, which means due to heavy salt condition, they may not be able to survive in the ecosystem, but survival of the fittest. So it started to produce many different compounds in order to protect itself from the adverse condition. Those substances which are produced by the organism in response to unfavorable environment are called as metabolites. These metabolites can be used as the precursor for the production of drugs, cancer drugs, right? Other life-saving drugs are harvested from marine algae. Pigments. So as I told you, there are three different types of pigments: green color pigment, brown color pigment, red color pigment. These pigments are used as biological coloring agents for the production of biolipstics, which are free from sulfur and ammonia, which could cause potential skin cancer, right? Algae are potential source of protein supplements. As I told you, algae are rich in proteins. Almost 60% of the algae is made up of proteins, which help us to provide protein supplements, right? Which help us to protect ourselves from protein deficient disease called kwashiorkor. Algae can be used as biofertilizers. They are supplied in cuisines as food. Algae can also be supplied as feed for the animals for its growth and milk production. Thank you. In case of any queries, please forward your mail to drsamuelponpandian@gmail.com and feel free to clarify your doubts through phone call. It is 8695959994, and the PowerPoint presentation is available in the slide share. You can also access there for your future studies. Bye.